I got started doing this just sort of as a hobby for fun, didn't get into it for money or anything like that. It's bad right now. I mean, the issue is anyone can take $100, go on Steam, and buy a slot to put a game up there. Everyone can do it. There's no barrier to entry. So yeah, it's totally flooded right now and really difficult to stand out. For me, it's okay. I don't have a problem with it. Again, I'm not making huge money here, so 30% of little is still little, so it doesn't really bother me. But I'm not sure what maybe a larger developer would feel about that. If you're gonna do it because you enjoy it. Don't do it because you think you're gonna make money, because there's a very high chance you won't.
Hello and welcome to Profiles. Today we're interviewing a game indie developer known online as Rogue Rollout. Can you properly introduce yourself to to everyone here?
Hi everyone. My name's Ajido, or real life name Charlie. I don't know what you want to go by here. So I've been doing game development for about 4 or 5 years now. I got started doing this just sort of as a hobby for fun. Didn't get into it for money or anything like that. And yeah, as you mentioned, I'm releasing a game called Rogue Rollout. I started working on it earlier this year. It's a roguelike Yahtzee game. It's coming out November 11th.
All right. So, what do you think is do you really think the market is oversaturated with games?
It's bad right now. I mean, the issue is anyone can take $100, go on Steam, and buy a slot to put a game up there. Everyone can do it. There's no barrier to entry. So yeah, it's totally flooded right now and really difficult to stand out.
So, what does impact more in the success of a game, even for a minimum? Is it quality, or is it marketing, or do you find like a balance in there?
I think it really depends on the game. I think if you make something that's truly visually stunning and easy to for people to look at and be like, "Oh, that looks cool. I want to get into that." It sort of markets itself at that point. I mean, obviously, you'll still need to do some work with it. But if you have like, I don't know, just what most games look like these days, your average game, you're not going to stand out unless you're really trying to put yourself out there. As an indie developer, there's so many things you have to do all by yourself. And then marketing is another thing that a lot of us neglect to do or don't like to do, but it's arguably the most important thing, because you can make a great game, but if no one sees it, they don't know it exists, and you just never get any attention.
So I think there's gotta be a balance between both of these.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, if you make something that truly stands out, it can get a lot of attention without much effort. But there's always going to be some work involved to get eyes on your game.
Right. So another question: do you actually have a second job without getting into personal details or anything? But do you have actually have a second job outside of indie game development to sustain yourself financially?
I'm working right now. I have a 9 to 5 job doing software testing. That's sort of how I'm in this computer science area, IT, and all that. So I'm on my lunch break right now talking to you, and yeah, I mean, I don't do this for money, and I don't think most people should get into it for money. It's very difficult. You're going to need to invest money, whether it's art, music, anything you need for your game. Voice acting, I don't know what type of game it is. Any marketing you want to do, all these things cost money. I don't know if you want me to get into numbers here, but I've invested a good amount into my game, and I think I'll make it back, but probably honestly not much more than that. And for me, that's okay, because I just want people to play the game. And as long as I'm not operating at a huge loss or anything like that, like I said, I have a 9 to 5 job where I get my paycheck. So it really depends on what the developer is looking to get out of the game that they're making.
All right. So another question: what are usually your views on game platforms like Steam, itch.io, and so on? Do you have any particular views on those?
I only have experience with Steam. I haven't released on any other platforms like itch or I don't know, Google Play, Apple Store, anything like that. I don't know what particular questions do you have about Steam or the platforms.
Whether you have a good or bad experience with Steam or anything similar.
Well, like I said earlier, Steam it's a double edged sword. It's good and bad. It's great that people can get into game development. I mean, my games, if there was a higher barrier to entry, maybe I never would have made a video game or anything like that. But knowing I can put my game on Steam was a big factor in me getting started in the first place. If there was more, if there was like game engines these days are free. Unity is free. I believe Unreal has free versions as well. That wasn't the case many years ago. It was a much higher barrier to entry. But yeah, these days anyone can get into it, which is great. But then again, it floods the market. If you look at Steam, there's a lot of low quality games on there. Yeah, I don't want to badmouth other games because mine are probably bad too. But you know what I mean. It's just a lot of stuff there, and that's because Steam makes it easy for everyone to get onto the platform.
Yeah, right. I know this kind of sounds redundant a little bit, but do you think you're fairly compensated by Steam?
Uh, Again, I'm not too familiar with the other platforms. I think Epic takes less of a percentage cut than Steam does. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but Steam, I believe, is 30%. And I think Epic might be in the teens, which is, better. But Steam is sort of the go to marketplace for video games these days. So you sort of pay for that premium to get your game in front of more people. For me, it's okay. I don't have a problem with it. Again, I'm not making huge money here, so 30% of little is still little. So it doesn't really bother me. But I'm not sure what maybe a larger developer would feel about that.
If you can change one thing about any of the Steam or anything like that, what will it be?
I would probably make it more expensive to put a game onto Steam. As I mentioned, it's currently at $100 US. I guess for some people that's a lot of money, and for some people it's not a lot of money. And I would lean toward the latter, that it's not a lot of money for most people because of just how many games are on there. So if they made it more expensive, maybe a higher upfront cost to getting your game on there, and then maybe they'll take a little bit less of a cut as a compensation for that. Then maybe you'd see some fewer, lower quality games if if it costs more to put your game on the platform.
All right, so a big question. Publishers, love them, hate them. What's your relation with those?
I don't have a relationship with publishers. I've only ever just worked by myself, and that's pretty much it. Maybe they are great. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the game Balatro, but the developer was basically in the same boat I am. He was just an indie developer making games for fun. He got approached by a publisher and decided to go with them, and they did great things for the visibility and marketing of the game, and that became a huge success. Definitely, it's a relationship. If you can find someone who you enjoy working with and you think will bring value to you, I'm sure they can help you out quite a bit. But you can get into bad relationships too, and people who take advantage of you or don't do a great job, take higher cut than they should, etc.
All right, so is there any personal regret, anything in regards of like your games or anything like that?
Regrets. Yeah, I have one for my game that I'm releasing now, Rogue Rollout. As I mentioned, I don't really make games with the intention of making huge profits or selling millions of copies. So to keep costs down, what I actually did was I used AI art for my game at the beginning because it's so much cheaper than going out and hiring an artist. Steam allows this, but they make you write a disclaimer that you're using AI art, and there's apparently a very negative stigma in a portion of the community that doesn't like AI art. They feel like you're stealing jobs from artists, just all sorts of legal and moral issues they have with it. So some people have told me, "Oh, your game looks really cool, but I just have a thing against AI art. Hope you understand, and I'm not going to check it out." After playtesting for quite a bit, and people really were enjoying the game, I decided to actually go out and hire an artist, replace all of the AI art to clear myself of that stigma. But yeah, it was a little bit of a regret getting into that at first because it definitely put a stain. But again, I was trying to keep costs down, and I didn't want to It was just something I thought was the right thing at the time. But as I saw the game actually had a chance at being popular, slightly successful, I decided to move away from that.
Right. So, how do you? I know you said like you make games for fun and all that sort of stuff, but how do you see your games? What does keep you inspired to create games? Is there a main motivation behind your games aside of like just for fun?
And for a long time, I'm 39 years old now. For a long time, I enjoyed playing games myself, and at a certain point, they just weren't holding my attention the same way they used to. And using my creativity was sort of the fun thing of making games, and actually, just that's why it's a fun hobby for me. I just enjoy doing it. But yeah, I'll make games typically that I think I would personally enjoy. I'm not like I'm not scoping out the market. What's the hot thing now? Let me go copy this. Although my game now is sort of there's a lot of comparisons to Balatro, which is a recently new game and extremely popular and successful. I've heard it called like the Yahtzee Balatro, something like that, which is cool of people to say. But actually, being honest with you, I've never even played Balatro. I've watched some videos of it a little bit just to get an idea of what it is. And there are actually similar games out there that are like mine, but they try and copy Balatro more directly than I do, whereas my game is more Yahtzee first, with some different elements added on top. So, yeah, it's just, for me, it's whatever I think is fun. I'll make something that I think I would want to play.
Okay, so final question: any advice for future indie developers out there?
If you're going to do it because you enjoy it. Don't do it because you think you're going to make money, because there's a very high chance you won't.
All right, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Hold on 1 second. Let me see your oysters, please. I'll be done in your lobby in a second, keeping my shoes up.